but do you see how your faith and your church community has affected how you carry out your scholarship?
I hope it makes a difference.
Sure.
And I hope it makes a difference in these following ways. The first is just the way that one treats people.
Okay.
I think that the Bible predisposes you to care for the invisible people and to love all people, including, those who the Bible calls our enemies. And I try, and my colleagues will be able to tell you whether I do this better than I can, because I think we're often the worst judges of ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I try to have that shape the way that I deal with, the people with offices on the same corridor as me, the people who clean the building in the morning, who you meet if you go in early, the people whose books you read, speaking about them as if they were there with you, rather than, sometimes academics can take pot shots at people whose books they've read in a way that if you were speaking to them face to face, you wouldn't say it that way.
Okay.
And so that's the first way that I hope it makes a difference.
Okay.
The way that I do relationships. I hope it makes a difference in the context of my studies, in the sense that the way in which I go about doing things. So in the same way that we have this lovely tradition, don't we, as Christians, of saying grace before meals, thanking God before we start eating. I think it's just lovely to say grace before starting work as well. Thank you for the work I'm about to do, for the opportunity to do it, and the time, and just praying for God's blessing on that. And praying sort of around work in a systematic way, but also quite an organic way, just weaving prayer into the way in which one works. And then the third way that I hope it makes a difference is the actual content of what I do. And I guess this has only really, for me, been possible in the last few years. So for the longest time, I was just trying to get my head around what these philosophers were saying.
Okay.
And I was in no position to sort of critique it from a Christian point of view, because I was just trying to work it out.
Sure.
And there was a little talk that I heard early on that was so helpful to me there by Nicholas Walterstoff. I think he was speaking at the Biola Center for Faith and Culture or something like that.
Can I write
And
this
he
down?
said,
Nicholas
Walterstoff.
Walterstoff. Okay.
Yeah. And he was saying, don't try to be Alvin Plantinga on day one, basically. Don't try to reform your whole discipline.
Yeah.
It takes time to feel your way into it, and to understand it, and to gain the amount of knowledge in it and the way of navigating your discipline to be able to say anything useful about it at all. And that was just really helpful for me, because for years you're just trying to find your feet. Okay. And then later on, I guess, you're able to bring more of its content into dialogue with a Christian point of view, hopefully in meaningful ways. Sure. And so the way, just to cap off this answer, the way that I try to think about how my faith affects my scholarship myself, and the way when I've given talks on this that I commend to others, is to see it as, how do you do a triangle? There you go. To see it as this triangle where each of the 3 points is the contacts, so the people you meet, the context, the way that you do your work, and the content, the actual what it is you're thinking about. And you will move about within that triangle during your academic career. So at the beginning, it's going to be mainly contacts and context, because you don't know enough to be able to do anything interesting with the content yet. But you can treat the people you encounter in your work life with love and respect, and that's really, really important. And that's something you should always be doing wherever you are in your career. And you can always pray before you work. So it's going to be mainly that to begin with. And then, as you go on in the academic career, you'll probably drift more into the center of the triangle, where you're doing more with the content, but you won't be doing that from day one. Even Alvin Plantinga was not doing that from day one. It took him a while.